Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Morton. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the artist and studio manager here at Baltimore Clayworks. We are thrilled that you all have joined us. I would like to acknowledge that I'm joining from my office located on Piscataway and Susquehannock land, currently known as Baltimore, Maryland. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual studio tour given today by Clarissa Pezone. She was our 2021 to 2022 Lormina Salter Fellow and is currently a long-term resident artist. Please feel free to submit your questions in the chat box at any time, and we will get to them immediately following Clarissa's talk. For more information about our artist talks, please visit our virtual library at baltimoreclayworks.org. And I will now turn it over to Clarissa.
All right. Hi, everybody. So as Rebecca said, my name is Clarissa Pezone. I came to Baltimore Clayworks in 2021 from Indiana University after pursuing my graduate degree, or attaining my graduate degree, I guess. And I came in here as the Lormina Salter Fellow. And what that means is that I accepted a position with a stipend to make work for a solo exhibition in the gallery at Baltimore Clayworks. And then this year, 2022 to 2023, I'm in my second year of the residency as a long-term resident. So we can stay here for up to 3 years. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I have going on in the studio and what I made for the show at Baltimore Clayworks in 2022, and then what I'm currently working on. So I have one example of some of the work that I had in the show at Baltimore Clayworks, and it was called Not Really Now, Not Anymore, the title of the show. And in the show, I was continuing a body of work that I had started in graduate school that were pretty much all self-portraits. And so what I was trying to do with the self-portrait was to kind of look at the external markers of what makes something recognizable as me. So I kind of created this kind of template of working with the body, like certain clothing, certain items, the same wig used repeatedly, put on a body generally would read as me. I obviously was sculpting them to look like myself as well. So this is an example of that. So it's about 3/4 scale figure, and in this particular sculpture, as well as some of the others in that show, I was thinking about the internal self and kind of the way that we process memories, or the way that we take care of ourselves. And so like, for example, this sculpture is a figure sitting meditatively with some of the things like possessions around themselves that would have signified like the day of being outside or the external self. So this is not an installation, this is my studio. So they're a little placed around the studio. So she was set up with her trompe-l'oeil socks that were laying around her, and then you can also see the handbag that she had next to her over here, which this is supposed to be a replica of my work bag. So it was kind of about going to places that you normally do in your life, and kind of the performance of self, and then kind of coming home to yourself at the end of the day. And from the point of doing that solo exhibition at Clayworks, I have since then been working on a couple different things. Because the body of work I made for that show was really large, so it was mostly life scale figures and installations. Since then, I have been pursuing making smaller work. So with some of the same ideas, but just in a much more miniature scale. So I have a piece that I just had at NCCA as part of the Baltimore Clayworks booth. So it is actually, I'll pull it forward if I can. So it's a smaller version of a sculpture that I had made in a previous installation. And the previous installation had been called the Tower, and it was a figure sitting in the middle of towers of suitcases on either side of it. And some of the suitcases on either side of the figure, which was basically a larger version of this. Some of them were made out of clay, and then some of them were found objects, so things that I found in like thrift stores or yeah, basically thrift stores. And so in that installation, the figure was holding a card and a tarot card, and the tarot card was of the Tower, which is basically, I was just using the format of a tarot card to get across some really obvious symbolism. So that particular tarot card, the Tower, is about kind of like impending doom, or like a fall from grace, or like something bad is going to happen. And then in this version, because I made it recently, I made it with a different card. So in the hand of the figure that's seated right here, she's holding the Magician, which is a different tarot card that is more about the idea of kind of like as above, so below, or like kind of a connection between like life and death, or kind of the beyond. And I find myself really interested in my current studio practice and the work that I'm making now about ideas of limbo and about like a connection to something larger. So I think in previous talks and in my studio practice, I kind of talk about spirituality in kind of a roundabout way. And it's not necessarily because I'm religious or anything like that. It's just because I think that I know that a lot of my work is stemming from the past few years being an experience of watching my mother go through my process of dealing with that really profound loss. And so for me, when I am thinking about making my work, I'm thinking about trying to create a sense of unreality that I associate with kind of the beyond, or kind of like a sense of magical thinking. So that's also kind of tied into memory. So in my current work, or the work that I've been making really recently in the studio, I've been focused on making heads, so mostly busts. And on top of the heads, I've been kind of compiling fruit and primarily persimmons. So I've just been kind of like in the way that I've been processing just the past couple of years, and just trying to find things to focus on now. I think now a lot about trying to look for positive connections in the world around me, to either memories or to the feeling of being able to like have a sense of communion with my mother, or to have like a sense of connectedness, even though she may not be physically here. So for me, I've been making a lot of pieces about persimmons because I feel like persimmons have played a role in my memories and in my childhood, because every Christmas we would get a huge box of persimmons, and my mom would like peel them in this really beautiful spiral over the garbage can, like one by one. That we would buy like about 100 persimmons, and she would make dried persimmon slices to send to people. We would eat them for a really long time, to the point when I was a kid, I just remember feeling really sick of them by the end of the season. And so I just have this really firm attachment to them as kind of this object, and this like this sensational thing, this thing that I can eat, and I can kind of taste what feels like a memory to me. And so I've just been kind of recreating that for the head. Putting something on top of a head is kind of a way of making it pretty obvious that it's like on the top of a person's mind, or it's connected to the psychology of whoever the sculpture is about. So if I have a sculpture with a hand that's connecting to a head, it feels like it is, it talks about kind of the touch that we can feel from somebody, even though they may not physically be there, they may not physically have their hand on our head, because it's connected to that psychological space. It's more about kind of the idea of connection than it is about an actual physical connection happening. So I've been continuing to work on some sculptures that are in a little bit of a smaller scale. So I have a quarter size full figure on the left hand side of my studio, right for you guys maybe. But I've been working in this vein. I started making quarter scale life figures as a way to scale down, and now I've been working on them as part of classes that I've been teaching at Baltimore Clayworks. So I teach the Coyle Built the Human Figure class here, and so making these kind of as part of a demonstration, and then also as a way to explore my ideas of creating a smaller figure, have been really fun. I actually don't think it's that much of a faster way to work. It takes me just as much time to work on one of these smaller figures as I feel it would to work on a figure that's more in the 3/4 scale or full scale range of size. Because it's all the same details, it's just that one is significantly larger and the other one is smaller. And so that's kind of what I've been working on so far in the studio this year. I find it really helpful for myself to set rules for myself in the studio, or to think about things kind of in terms of a period of time that I'll work on something, or a genre, or like a specific parameter that I want to work in for a while. So for example, for the first 3 months of this year, I was focused almost exclusively on making like functional vessels for NCECA, the National Council on Education for Ceramic Arts, I think. That's not the right. You know what NCECA is if you're here, maybe. But so I focused for 3 months on making functional objects, and then since then I've been working mostly in the parameter of creating busts or heads. And so as I look forward to what's going to happen for the rest of this year, I have a few things coming up that are kind of exciting. This summer, I will be attending Creta Rome, which is a residency in Rome in Italy for 4 weeks. And while I'm there, I'm going to be conducting some historical research for myself, different representations of sculpture from Greece, from Rome. So I'll be taking notes and creating sculptures or small studies while I'm at the program there. And I'm really thankful to be supported and going by the Mary E. Nyberg Foundation grant through Baltimore Clayworks, and also from a grant through the Art Council of Maryland. And so I will be there for 4 weeks creating work over the summer, and then in 2024, I'll be creating a large installation for the Museum of Contemporary Art Arlington in Arlington, Virginia. And that'll be installed in April of 2024. And so the installation in Arlington is another opportunity to be able to create a large scale immersive space or installation that has several figures as well as other objects. I'm trying not to give too much away because I haven't made it yet. So, so I'm really excited to make that and to be able to build big again in the remainder of the year.